So we have ourselves an annual Stick on the Ice Classic. What if every single team made the playoffs? Teams are seeded 1 through 32 here. We got ourselves a giant bracket, and we better start early. So that means our first matchup is going to be the New York Rangers taking on the San Jose Sharks. It's a best of 7 series, but anything can still happen here. Now, the last time we did a video like this, things didn't really go too well for the number 1 seed, and it looks like it's a similar result here. The San Jose Sharks are going to be taking game 1. Now, although I highly doubt the San Jose Sharks are going to do the same thing the Anaheim Ducks did to the Boston Bruins in last year's video, it actually might happen. San Jose has a 2-0 series lead. If we get the exact same result, I'm buying a San Jose Sharks jersey. Okay, it doesn't look like we're getting the same result. Zibanejad's going to be picking up an OT winner, and he's keeping this series interesting. If you don't remember last year's video, the Anaheim Ducks swept the Boston Bruins in the first round. It made absolutely no sense. It looks like the New York Rangers have woken up here, and they've evened the series at 2 games apiece. So we got ourselves game 5, and of course, that's going to be a big one. Somebody's going to be taking the lead in the series. The San Jose Sharks have really put the New York Rangers on the brink of elimination. So it all comes down to this for the New York Rangers. Are they going to be waking up in this series? It looks like they will be, and I can basically guarantee they're going to be taking this game right here. Game 7, the San Jose Sharks taking on the New York Rangers. It all comes down to this. I'm going to be honest, I refuse to believe that the San Jose Sharks are going to be beating the New York Rangers here, but hey, anything's possible, and it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. The New York Rangers are going to be holding them off, and they're going to be advancing to the second round. But if we're being completely honest, this is the correct outcome. The Rangers obviously should beat the San Jose Sharks, but this next matchup is going to be an interesting one. The Washington Capitals taking on the St. Louis Blues, 2 teams that just missed the playoffs. This could really go either way. So we got the St. Louis Blues taking on the Washington Capitals. Although these 2 teams are very close in the standings, we already know what's going to happen here. It's going to be a sweep for the St. Louis Blues. Wow, that has already aged horribly. Now, normally after games like that, the St. Louis Blues are going to bounce back, and it looks like that's what's going to be happening. 3 unanswered goals in the third period is going to be evening this series up. Now, we do have to remember, this is NHL 24, so obviously it's not realistic. So if the St. Louis Blues somehow lose this series, that's just NHL 24's fault. So game number 4 is going to be an interesting one, and it looks like St. Louis is going to be taking that one to even up the series. Robert Thomas is picking up a goal. Obviously, if Robert Thomas is picking up a goal, you're winning the game. So game number 5 is going to be a big one, similar to the last series. Somebody's going to be taking the lead in this one. It looks like it's going to be the Washington Capitals. Psych, it's going to be the St. Louis Blues. Never mind, Washington's winning this one. Ovi's picking up the winner. After these 3 goals right here, I thought we were taking that game, but nope, it's going to be a third period choke. So we got game 6 elimination here. The St. Louis Blues competing with the Washington Capitals. This one's going to be decided by the third period here. Who's going to be picking up the most goals? The Washington Capitals are. Dylan Strome with 49 seconds left, and the St. Louis Blues are eliminated in round number 1. Absolutely ridiculous. But you know what's more ridiculous than the St. Louis Blues losing? The fact that 80% of the people that watch these videos aren't even subscribed to the channel. So if you're a part of that 80%, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel right now. Drop a like while you're at it. We're trying to hit 62,000 by the end of the month. So we're just going to pretend that last series didn't happen. Now we have a battle of Alberta with the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Calgary Flames. So we haven't seen any major upsets yet, and this could potentially be one, but I really can't see the Calgary Flames taking down the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton just has way too much offense. But it doesn't really matter if you have more offense, because the defense is really going to be deciding this one. Okay, Edmonton's defense looks absolutely chopped here. They're allowing 8 goals. So I take it back. Offense is definitely going to be deciding this series because neither team is playing good defense. We have another high scoring one, but Nugent Hopkins is picking up the OT winner. We should really set a challenge between these 2 teams. Allow less than 2 goals in the game. Definitely not happening, and they immediately both do it. So far, every series we've been involved in, those have been a close one so far, so it's making some entertaining hockey right here. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period. Ryan McLeod's going to be picking up a third period goal, and Edmonton's 1 game away from the second round. So Calgary, if you're looking to play spoiler, you better show up in this game. 3 unanswered going to be tying this one up. Can they keep the momentum going? Nazem Kadri's picking up a goal with 41 seconds left to force overtime, but in overtime, Leon Draisaitl is going to be the hero here. I believe he picked up a hat trick in this game, so a Leon Draisaitl hat trick is going to be advancing them to the second round. When push came to shove, it just came down to Edmonton's offense. Leon Draisaitl, 10 points in 6 games. You already saw that one coming. No, but real talk, if you're beating the Edmonton Oilers, the only way you're doing that is stopping the offense. You're definitely going to score some goals in Edmonton, but they're just going to score more than you. Speaking of a team that can score a lot of goals, we're moving on to our next matchup, and the winner is going to be taking on the Edmonton Oilers. It's either going to be the Seattle Kraken or Colorado Avalanche. So we have a rematch from last season, the Seattle Kraken taking on the Colorado Avalanche, and of course, Andre Burakovsky. We should have seen this coming. When push comes to shove and you need a big time player, of course, you want Andre Burakovsky on your team, except in this game right here, you want McCann. Now, Colorado, what are you doing here? You got to wake up. Seattle has a 2-0 series lead on you, and unfortunately, it's not going to be a 3-0 3-0 series lead because Nichushkin, he's picking up the OT winner. But as we know, it's just a matter of time before Andrei Burakovsky steps in once again and leads the team to victory. Is that going to be happening in this game? Nope, it's going to be Jordan Eberle, but the Seattle Kraken do have a 3-1 series lead. So now Colorado needs their big time players to make some big time plays. Burakovsky, he has both goals for the Seattle Kraken here. He's not going to be picking up a hat trick, and they're not going to be picking up the win because Colorado's going to be taking this one 6-3. So Colorado, are you going to be able to make a 3-1 series comeback? Because things are looking pretty good for you right now. You're exchanging goals with the Seattle Kraken in the second period. The third period is going to be deciding this one, and it doesn't look like the third period will decide this one. We need some overtime, and Andrei Burakovsky OT winner, it's not happening. Nathan MacKinnon's picking up the OT winner. We're off to game 7. Burakovsky did pick up a goal in this game though. He's doing his part. The big difference in the past 2 games is the fact that Nathan MacKinnon's actually woke up and he's been performing really good here. Another goal from MacKinnon. Are they going to be taking down the Kraken? It doesn't look like it. 3 unanswered in the third period, and Seattle's completing the massive upset. And who is leading the way for the Seattle Kraken? Andrei Burakovsky, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points in 7 games. He's him. We already know this. Nah, but real talk, when push came to shove and you needed the big time players to step up, Andrei Burakovsky is going to be that guy for you. Now we're moving on to our next matchup. We've got through 4 so far. This is going to be our 5th matchup, and it's going to feature the 5th best team in the league, the 5th seeded Florida Panthers taking on the 28th seeded Montreal Canadiens. So I think it's pretty clear that the Florida Panthers are the favorite in this series, but that means absolutely nothing when it comes to the playoffs because the big time players are going to make big time plays here, and that's going to include Michael Matheson. They're going to be taking out the Florida Panthers in game 1. At this point, I don't think it actually really matters what your seeding is. Any team can compete with anybody, and the Montreal Canadiens now have a 2-0 series lead over the Florida Panthers. The real question is, which is the first team going to be swept here? I can't see the Florida Panthers getting swept, but you know what? It might happen. Montreal has the 3-0 series lead. Ain't no way Florida's getting swept in the first round here. So Florida, it's time for you to wake up because things are not looking good for you guys right now. Are you going to be waking up in this series? Matthew Tkachuk's going to be picking up a goal in the second. The third period is going to be a big one in this one. Newhook's going to be picking up a third period goal. We're off to overtime. The Florida Panthers really just got swept here. Ain't no way. Well, just like that, we have our first sweep of the video. I did not think it was going to be the Florida Panthers, but I guess it is. Montreal's off to the second round, and now they have a matchup between either the Philadelphia Flyers or LA Kings. So the Philadelphia Flyers did ditch a handful of guys after the trade deadline, but somehow they're still going to find a way to compete here. They're going to be taking game 1 4-1. I was really under the impression that after making the changes they did, they would not be able to compete with the LA Kings, but here we are in game 2, and Philly has a 2-0 series lead. But to be fair, after watching that Montreal-Florida matchup, we all know that anything is possible here, and it looks like the Philadelphia Flyers might be sweeping the LA Kings. They better wake up real quick here. So here we go, game 4. Philly has a chance of completing the sweep here. Are the LA Kings going to be waking up? I don't think they are. Philly's sweeping the LA Kings. That's tough, LA. That's real tough. So that's back-to-back sweeps now. The Philadelphia Flyers are going to be taking on the Montreal Canadiens in the second round. So that means once we get to the Elite 8 and we're down to our final 8 teams, either the Montreal Canadiens or Philadelphia Flyers are going to be involved in that. Who would have thought? But why are we worrying about the Elite 8? We still have a handful of matchups to get through, and this next one's going to see the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Minnesota Wild. So based on the trend of the past 2 series, it looks like whoever wins game 1 is going to be sweeping the series. So Minnesota, congrats on making the second round. Nah, but real talk, we're not going to have 3 straight sweeps here, but then again, I didn't think we would have 2 straight sweeps, but it looks like the sweep streak's gonna be ending here. Tampa's winning this one 4-3. When you look at Tampa Bay's roster, I honestly believe that's actually better than what their record is, and they're gonna be proving that in this game right here, picking up 8 goals. However, I do think it's gonna be difficult for Tampa to go on any deep run with Sergachev being out for probably the majority of the postseason. I mean, I think it's safe to say he's done for the year. I don't know if he's done for the year, but I'm pretty sure he is. Anyways, it looks like Tampa's doing pretty good without Sergachev though. They got a 3-1 series lead here, but Minnesota's not going down lightly. They're gonna be taking this one 6-3, and we need game 6. So Tampa, are you going to actually close it out in this series? It doesn't look like it's going to be easy for you though. Minnesota's going to be picking up 3 unanswered to give themselves the 1-goal lead entering the third period here, but Tampa's going to be bouncing back with 2 of their own. We need overtime in this matchup, and the overtime winner is going to be coming from Steven Stamkos, so they're off to the second round. So with Tampa advancing, it's time to finish off the first half of our first round matchups, and that's going to see the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, for being honest, the Winnipeg Jets should have absolutely no problem with the Columbus Blue Jackets. This team just does not perform. Like, I'm going to be completely honest, I thought the Columbus Blue Jackets were going to be competing for a playoff spot. I thought they just dealt with so many injuries last season that it was a bit of a fluke. Nope. This team is just bad. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Columbus Blue Jackets. You're going to get another decent pick in this upcoming draft, but the future for this team is very questionable. But you know what? Let's not worry about the future of the Columbus Blue Jackets. We got to worry about the right now. And Columbus, they're going to be winning back-to-back games here, and they've evened up this series. So maybe me talking down the Columbus Blue Jackets is the reason they're making the comeback in this series. Unfortunately, IFL is going to be picking up a late third period goal, and Winnipeg's 1 game away from the second round. So if Columbus wants to stay alive here, the big-time performers need to make some big-time plays here. And I'm looking at Johnny money hockey. Unfortunately, in the third period, though, Winnipeg's going to be picking up 2 goals. Blankenberg's going to be tying this one up, so we're going to need overtime. And in overtime, it looks like Tyler Toffoli's picking up the OT winner, and Winnipeg's off to the next round. At least Columbus kept it interesting, though, because honestly, I was expecting Winnipeg to sweep. But you know what? A 6-game series, that's some good hockey right there. Moving on to the second half of our matchups, we're going to see the Carolina Hurricanes sweeping the Anaheim Ducks. Now that I've made that statement, I fully expect Carolina to lose in 5. All right, let's see Anaheim scores 7 goals in game number 1 here and make a statement against the Carolina Hurricanes. I guess that's not happening. Leo Carlsson's going to be picking up the lone goal. Well, the lone goal for Anaheim. Carolina's taking this one 3-1. Anaheim's another team that's very similar to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I thought they were going to be much better this season, but you know what? I've completely lost hope in the Anaheim core. I just don't think it can win. And I'm not talking winning a Stanley Cup, I'm just talking winning games. Every single night this team plays, I'm fully expecting a loss. Like, I'm going to be honest, I thought the young guys would have been a lot better by now, but you know what? It's just the way development goes. Carolina, they're going to be taking this one, and now they got themselves a 3-1 series lead. But enough ripping on the Anaheim Ducks, because they are my number 2 team behind the St. Louis Blues, but I just don't like how that team's being managed right now. I accidentally simulated the entire game, but it doesn't really matter. 6 goals is more than enough. So Anaheim, you're going to be winning 1 game, but you're going to be losing the other 4, so it doesn't really matter. You're out in the first round here. Eventually, I do want to see you guys get it together, though. You have a lot of young talent on this team. They just need to start performing. Our next matchup's going to be a very interesting one. We got the Pittsburgh Penguins led by Sidney Crosby and the Vegas Golden Knights led by Mr. Game 1, Mark Stone. Sidney Crosby, unfortunately, you couldn't do anything in the playoffs this year because your team's not even making the postseason. But you know what? Let's see if you can do something in this simulation right here. And it looks like Pittsburgh's taking game 1. Like, the next best thing to winning a Stanley Cup is succeeding in a stick on the ice video. Honestly, they're just neck and neck. I think you can make the argument succeeding in a stick on the ice video is more important than the Stanley Cup. Alright, stick on the ice is just completely yapping, but Tristan Jarry's got a shutout and Pittsburgh now has a 2-1 series lead. So Tristan Jarry is holding it down for the Penguins. Sidney Crosby's looking fantastic. They might actually be able to upset the Vegas Golden Knights. A 3-1 series lead is going to put them 1 game away from the second round. But the one thing we do have to remember, the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing the Vegas Golden Knights right now, and you can never count this team out. Vegas has a 2-1 lead entering the third period, and they're going to hold on to that lead with the help of Jack Eichel. So here we go, game number 6. Pittsburgh's looking to close it out here, and it looks like they will. They have a 3-1 series lead entering the third period, and they're going to hold on to that lead, which means the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be upset in the first round. So shout out to the Pittsburgh Penguins for that massive win there, taking down the Vegas Golden Knights. But Sidney Crosby, you're going to live to see another day in the playoffs. Well, not the real playoffs. I mean, this is the stick on the ice playoffs, which are arguably more important, but we got to move on from that because now we have the Nashville Predators taking on the Buffalo Sabres. When it comes to these two teams right here, I was expecting the Buffalo Sabres to be a lot better this season, while the Nashville Predators, I was thinking they would be a lot worse. Shout out to Dylan Cousins on that lone goal, though. Like, I really thought Buffalo was going to take that next step and move into the postseason, and Nashville, I thought they were just going to spark the rebuild. So I guess you could say both of these teams were massive surprises, but the main thing holding the Buffalo Sabres back, that defense has to be better. Shout out Luke Evangelista. I mean, granted, Tage Thompson also took a massive step back and he wasn't as good offensively, so Buffalo, you just need to score more goals and allow less. It's pretty simple. But right now, Buffalo has a 3-1 series lead, so what do I really know? We're moving into this game, and this one's going to be a blowout for Nashville. They're taking it 5-1. So Buffalo, you have another chance of closing out the series here in game number 6. Hopefully you do that, because I don't think you're going to be able to take down Nashville if they're able to win this one. It doesn't look like you're going to have to worry about that, though. Tage Thompson and Peterka are both picking up goals in the third period, and you're going to be taking this one 6-3, and you're off to the second round. So the Buffalo Sabres are going to perform when it matters most here, and they're going to upset the Nashville Predators. Nashville really finished 11th in the entire league. I did not realize they were 11th in the entire league. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but yeah. Heading on over to our next matchup, we're going to see the Vancouver Canucks that are currently still in the NHL, and the Arizona Coyotes, who I guess are technically no longer in the NHL because they're Utah. But yeah, I believe hockey can survive in the desert, but hockey cannot survive in the desert when you have that owner. I don't remember what his name is. All I know is it's Alex something. That dude might be the worst owner in all major sports. Now, like, you really have to think about it here. The reason that Arizona's owner is so bad is he can't even do the basics right. Normally when an owner's bad, it's because they start trying to do something outside of the basics. They want to be involved in the day-to-day operations. Arizona's owner couldn't even do the day-to-day operations. He couldn't even pay hotels. Like, bro was really struggling to pay hotels. No wonder that team couldn't succeed. Yeah, the product on the ice is really bad, but the owner's even worse, and that's saying something about the Arizona Coyotes. Luckily, they're winning game 3 here, so they're keeping this somewhat competitive. No, but real talk, when it comes to bad owners, most of the time it's just because they get involved in stuff that they have no business being involved in. When it came to the Arizona Coyotes, bro just couldn't do anything right. So good luck in Utah, Arizona. Honestly, I hope you see a lot of success there, and then you can just shove it in your owner's face. And I really hope hope the NHL doesn't give that man another team. If they give him another team in Arizona, then they're just asking for failure. But until then, we're just going to relax, simulate games here, and see if the Arizona Coyotes can make this comeback. I don't think it's going to be happening. Maybe it will. Arizona might play upset here. Never mind, Elias Lindholm's picking up the OT winner, and Arizona's eliminated. I gassed this team up a bit too much. So with that matchup complete, we're down to our final four here, and this next one's going to feature one of the best in the entire league in the Boston Bruins, and one of the worst in the Ottawa Senators. Now, I will say I was very impressed with the Ottawa Senators this season, because I did not think it would be possible for you guys to get worse. You impressed me by how bad you were. Meanwhile, Boston, on the other hand, I said this team wouldn't make the playoffs at the beginning of the season, and here we are. They're one of the best in the entire league. They definitely made me look like a fool. But to be fair, Patrice Bergeron came off the books, and Krejci came off the books, and that was only $3 million. With those $3 million they had, they found competent replacements. I didn't think that would be possible. I'm going to be completely honest. Charlie Coyle, you were incredible. Pavel Zacha, you were incredible this season. But Ottawa's up right now. They have a 2-1 series lead. What's going on? Boston might be good in the regular season, but they got to perform in the playoffs. And it looks like that's what they're going to be doing in this game. They're evening this series up. So we got ourselves a game 5 with the series tied. That means somebody's going to be taking the lead and another team's going to be facing elimination. Boston's really facing elimination here. Why do I feel like the Ottawa Senators are about to go on some stupid run here and win the Stanley Cup? I don't know why I think that's going to happen. Never mind, Brad Marchand's the OT hero. I guess this was an elimination game. I probably should win period by period, especially since it was a very interesting third period. But you know what? We're off to game 7 and we're going period by period. So it all comes down to this one final game to decide who's going to be moving on to the second round. The Ottawa Senators are flying. Just kidding. Boston's responding. The third period is going to be a big one, and Boston's just going to keep on rolling. 5 unanswered goals, and they're off to the second round. But you know what? I think you got to give the Ottawa Senators a bit of credit here. They were definitely not as good of a team as the Boston Bruins, but when it came down to game 7, Boston's going to be showing up. So with that series completed, we just got to figure out who they're going to be taking on. It has to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nothing against New Jersey, but I want to see Toronto take on Boston. Now, as much as I want to believe in the Toronto Maple Leafs in a potential matchup against the Boston Bruins in the second round, that means Toronto has to get through the first round, and they have not convinced me that they can do that on a consistent basis. Yeah, they might have won game number 1 here, but that doesn't mean anything if you're losing game 2. They've won 2 games in a row. I still don't believe in it. This team could have a 3-0 series lead, have an 8-goal lead in game number 4, and still find a way to lose. And just when things were looking good for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they allowed 6 goals. We're back down to reality. But Toronto, you're not going to blow a 2-0 series lead, are you? Yes, you are. We're all evened up. Great work, team. Honestly, at this point, it's actually a bit of a joke. Ain't no way Toronto's about to lose this. We're off to game 6 here. It's an elimination game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. How are y'all about to get eliminated here? You had a 2-0 series lead, and then this team completely fell apart. You have a 2-1 lead entering the third period, and you're going to choke it away just like that. You had a 3-1 lead, and you're going to allow back-to-back goals here. Double overtime is going to show us the winner. Austin Matthews, you're continuing to save this team. Now, I didn't think this series would go to 7 games, but here we are in game number 7. Toronto's picked up the first 2 goals. No goals are going to be scored here in the second, but that doesn't mean anything. New Jersey can definitely pick up 3 in the third period. It doesn't look like they're going to be picking up any of those, and Toronto's going to be moving on to the second round. Although the Toronto Maple Leafs won that series, it definitely shouldn't have went to 7 games. Toronto probably should have swept them, but you know what? But now it's time for us to move on to our next matchup, and that's going to feature the New York Islanders and the Detroit Red Wings. So as I'm recording this, New York Islanders just lost game number 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes. It was a great game right down to the wire, but you know what? I think the Islanders can actually compete with the best right now. As long as the defense holds up for the Islanders, they're definitely going to be able to compete, but they do have to score some goals. Because so far in the simulation, they haven't scored many goals, and in game number 1, the offense was looking good, but Freddie Anderson was just a bit better. But no way I just gassed up the Islanders, and then they're going to proceed to not score any goals here. They're picking up 3 goals in game number 3, and they're keeping themselves in this series. The real question is, are they going to be evening this series up, or are they going to be falling to a 3-1 deficit? It looks like they're falling to a 3-1 deficit. Shout out to David Perron, and shout out to the boys for picking up 4 unanswered. So the Islanders are facing game 5 elimination here. They got to get the offense going, and the defense has to continue to look pretty good. It doesn't look like that's going to be happening, though, because 2 goals in the third period are going to be sending us to overtime, and in overtime, it looks like we're going to be ending this one. So that was a quick 5-game series for the Detroit Red Wings. They're upsetting the New York Islanders, but it's not really much of an upset. An 18 seed beating a 15, they're pretty close. Now this next matchup, on the other hand, would be a massive upset. The Dallas Stars losing to the Chicago Blackhawks. So this is our final matchup of the first round. The Dallas Stars taking on the Chicago Blackhawks here. It should be a quick sweep for the Dallas Stars if we're being completely honest. The one thing I will say about the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm incredibly impressed with what Bedard did this season, considering how bad this Chicago Blackhawks team is. Because you have to really think about it. Connor Bedard had an incredible rookie season, and the Chicago Blackhawks have absolutely no one. If you took Connor Bedard off of this Blackhawks team, they're probably not winning more than than 15 games. Like, they were so incredibly bad this season, it's actually pretty impressive. Like, remember where San Jose was at the beginning of the year? Chicago is not that far off from San Jose when it comes to standings. Like, Chicago finished with what, like 8 more points than the San Jose Sharks? San Jose basically lost the first 10 games of the season, and Chicago was somehow only 8 points ahead of them. How does that work? But yeah, it's a quick 5-game series here. Shout out to Bedard because he did pick up that OT winner. But yeah, Dallas is going to be moving on pretty easily here. And with that Dallas Stars victory, we're moving on to the second round because the entire first round's set here. And we got a great matchup in the next round. It's going to be the New York Rangers taking on the Washington Capitals. So nothing's really changing. Although this is a second round matchup, the Rangers are still going to be the favorite. And they're taking game 1 4-2. Like, I still haven't figured out how the Washington Capitals even made the playoffs. This team played 0 defense the entire season and still got in. How does that work? But at this point, it doesn't really matter because the Rangers are going to be picking up an overtime goal and they got a 3-0 series lead. And although this is the second round in our simulation, this is exactly how the Rangers-Washington Capitals series is going to go. The Rangers are going to sweep them. So this has been by far the most realistic outcome so far, the New York Rangers sweeping the Washington Capitals. But the Elite 8 matchup from the New York Rangers is definitely going to be tougher if they get the Edmonton Oilers. If they get the Seattle Kraken, I think they'll be fine. So I feel like the Edmonton-Seattle series is going to be a short one, but man, is it going to be a high-scoring one. 9 goals in game number 1 for Edmonton, but 5 goals allowed. Yeah, that's definitely not ideal. But you know what? A win is a win is a win is a win. So the Edmonton Oilers are definitely going to be taking that one. And they're going to be taking an OT winner from Zach Hyman. The only reason the Seattle Kraken aren't up 2-0 in the series right now is Andre Burakovsky's a bit tired from that last matchup. He hasn't really been performing here, but I can guarantee he picked up a goal here. Never mind, no he didn't. Usually when I gas up Burakovsky like that, he has some big games. I think he's going to be having a big game right here. Is he picking up a goal this time? Okay, what's this man doing? I think bro might be out there doing cardio. But Edmonton did just blow that 2-0 series lead. So game number 5 is going to be a big one, and one team is going to be 1 game away from the next round. Seattle is really making this comeback. All right, here we go, Edmonton. You had a 2-0 series lead, but now you're facing elimination. Seattle's picking up 2 goals here. They might have this in the bag. They have a 2-goal lead entering the third period. Edmonton better start picking up some goals here. 8-3. This team really lost 8-3. That's a tough way to go out. Jordan Eberle was an absolute beast, picking up 10 points in 6 games here. And Andre Burakovsky, you know what? He might not have been picking up goals, but he certainly is picking up assists here. 1 goal, 8 assists, 9 points. I guess this man was performing when it mattered most. The moral of the story, never doubt Andre Burakovsky, because if you need some points, that man's going to be on the ice and he's going to be picking them up for you. Who really knows what's going to happen in this next matchup though? The Montreal Canadiens and Philadelphia Flyers. Neither of these two teams should be here. So we got 2 of the best matching up in the second round here. The Philadelphia Flyers and Montreal Canadiens. How these teams made it here, I still don't know. But since they're here, they might as well keep on competing. But the one thing that does have to be mentioned, the winner of this matchup is either taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning or Winnipeg Jets. So yeah, it's going to be tough from here on out. With that being said though, the Montreal Canadiens did beat the Florida Panthers, so I think they're ready for anybody. And it looks like Montreal's just going to keep on rolling here. 2-1 series leads looking pretty good for them, but Philly's going to respond here and they're keeping this close. So with the series tied, of course, game 5 is going to be a big one, and it looks like the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be taking this one. 2 goals is going to be more than enough. So it comes down to game 6 here. Is Montreal going to be able to force a game 7, or is Philly going to be moving on? Philly's offense is looking pretty solid right now. We got ourselves a 1-goal game entering the third period, and it's going to be a scoreless third, so that means Bobby Brink's goal is going to be the winner. So another matchup is done here, and the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be advancing, a 21 seed, but they're going to have their hands full because, as I mentioned earlier, it's either the Tampa Bay Lightning or Winnipeg Jets. So whoever wins this matchup is more than likely going to make it to the Final Four, and Winnipeg's going to be starting off with a great game 1, 5-0. Yeah, because if I'm being completely honest, I don't think either of these teams are going to lose to the Philadelphia Flyers, but then again, Philly's been surprising us so far, so you don't know what's going to happen. But right now, it just looks like Winnipeg's offense can't be stopped. Tampa does not have an answer. Winnipeg's really got themselves a 3-0 series lead. Now, the New York Rangers sweeping the Washington Capitals, I expected that, but I did not expect the Winnipeg Jets to be sweeping the Tampa Bay Lightning. That really happened. A 6-0 game here and they get shut out once again. Alright, I gotta look at the team stats for Tampa because that team just did not show up here. Did they record any points? That team was just kind of sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Stamkos had 3. We have a couple guys with 1. That's it. Like Connor Hellebuyck really had 2 shouts, a 971 and a 075. Yeah, so he was locked in. Now, all I can say is I'm really impressed with the Winnipeg Jets, and Philly, you're definitely not going to be able to stop them. But Carolina, can you stop the Pittsburgh Penguins? Because they're on a heater right now. Alright, so I got the Leafs game on while I'm recording this video. John Beecher just scored after Toronto threw about 9 million hits. Yeah, not really a great start to the series. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Penguins, though. They're taking game 1 here after scoring 4 unanswered. Alright, they're making a big comeback. But you know what? We'll worry about Toronto and Boston later. We got to focus on this series right here, and Carolina's going to be responding in game number 2. So game 3 is going to be a big one. I think it's going to be Carolina taking the reins here, but never mind. The Pittsburgh Penguins just can't be stopped. That offense is flying. You know what? I think I have to stop doubting the Penguins. To be fair, I'm not necessarily doubting the Penguins, but I just have so much faith in the Carolina Hurricanes. But I think that faith might be dying out here. Pittsburgh's 1 game away from the Elite 8. So Pittsburgh, are you going to find a way to close this series out? Riley Smith's picking up the first goal here. It's going to be a scoreless second, but in the third period, Sidney Crosby and Letang are taking over. The old core can still perform here, and Pittsburgh's going to be advancing. So that's a big time upset. The 19th seed taking down the 3rd seed, and it was a 5-game series as well. Pittsburgh's here to stay, and they want to prove they can compete with the best in the league. However, if they have to take on the Vancouver Canucks in the next round, that's going to be a tough matchup. Then again, Carolina, I think they're a better team than Vancouver, so I think Pittsburgh can really compete with everybody. So we got Vancouver and Buffalo in our next second round matchup, and Buffalo's going to make a statement in this one. They're picking up 5 goals in the 3rd period, and they're showing Vancouver they can compete. That's the one thing about the Buffalo Sabres. If their offense gets rolling, they're going to be a tough team to stop. However, if the offense stops, then this is happening. Consistency might be one of the toughest things for the Buffalo Sabres. This team can just not stay consistent. We got another game going back and forth here, but Vancouver's taking this one 4-3. Alright, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins update. Brad Marchand just rung it right off the post, and now Vancouver has a 3-1 series lead. I have to start focusing on the matchups in front of me, because these are the ones that really matter. Buffalo, they're making this competitive. We're entering the 3rd period. Vancouver might make the comeback. It doesn't look like it. Buffalo's going to be staying alive for another day. But it doesn't look like Buffalo's going to be staying alive too much longer. Vancouver's going to be picking up 5 straight goals, and that's going to allow them to advance. So I'm already looking forward to that next matchup. It's going to be the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Before we get to that matchup, though, we do have to finish up the second round here, and now we have the Boston Bruins taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, so I can continue to commentate the actual game going on. So here we go, the series I think everyone was looking forward to. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Boston Bruins. Boston in 5. Toronto's not going to be able to show up when it matters most. Okay, this is beyond ridiculous. Ain't no way this man just scored the OT winner. So absolutely everything about this series right now is going to be incredibly unrealistic. Ryan Reaves OT winner. I can't believe I just saw that. But it looks like Boston's going to wake up in game number 2 here. They're picking up 6 goals. But I still can't get over that. A Ryan Reaves OT winner. How did that just happen? Like, real talk, that makes no sense. Toronto's going to be responding in game 3, 4 straight goals here. Now, the big thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs is that they want to compete with the Boston Bruins. They got to make sure everyone's healthy. William Nylander's out for game number 1, but if for some reason he's out the entire series, I don't think they stand a chance. Then again, what a stick on the ice. No, Boston now is taking this game 3-2, and they have a 3-2 series lead. So here we go, an elimination game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so they can be responding. 3 goals should be enough. They're taking that one 3-1, and we're off to game 7. So we got game 7 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston Bruins. This has never backfired for the Toronto Maple Leafs ever. A 3-1 lead entering the 3rd period. It's time to start the collapse, and here they go. They lost the game. Wow, they lost. Wow, that is tough. That is incredibly tough. I didn't think it would actually happen, but it did. David Pastrnak scoring with 45 seconds left. Brad Marchand OT winner. That is hilarious. Yep, so Toronto, just like that. You had 3 games, and then here come the Boston Bruins. They're picking up 4. For some reason, that's just the most fitting end, but we got to finish round number 2 here. Now we have the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Dallas Stars. So we have Dallas and Detroit to finish off the second round here. The way the Dallas Stars look, honestly, I think they should be the Stanley Cup favorite, but maybe not in this simulation. Detroit's picking up 5 goals in game number 1. Now, although I have Dallas as the Stanley Cup favorite here, they're not looking good against the Red Wings, and they now have a 2-0 series lead. But if you want to know stick on the ice, top 3 heading into the postseason here, the Dallas Stars are number 1, Carolina Hurricanes are number 2, and number 3, honestly, I don't even know who would be 3rd. Like, I feel like you could throw the Rangers in there. Obviously, you can throw the Florida Panthers in there. There's a ton of great teams. For some reason, though, call me the biggest Winnipeg Jets hater in the world. I do not believe in that team. I don't know why. I just don't have faith in it. But I don't know why I'm trying to gas up the Dallas Stars so much. They're down 3-0 to the Detroit Red Wings right now. They got to spark some massive comeback. They're going to be winning game number 4 here, but they're barely winning that one. Detroit's putting a late push on. All right, Dallas, let's get back into this one. You're going to be picking up a couple more goals in this game. You're sparking the comeback. Are you going to make a 3-0 series comeback? Potentially could happen. So as long as Dallas keeps putting on the pressure here, they actually might be able to spark this comeback. Is Dallas really going to make a 3-0 series comeback? I think they're about to do it. Now, wouldn't that be tough for Detroit? Not only were they one game away from making the playoffs, but now they're about to blow a 3-0 series lead. Okay, Patrick Kane, he's coming in to save the day, picking up 2 late goals here. Detroit's not going to be blowing that series lead, but man, it definitely shouldn't have gone to 7 games. So Dallas made that late push, but it's not going to be enough because Detroit's going to be taking this one, and now we're down to the Elite 8. We got the Rangers in Seattle, Philadelphia Flyers and Winnipeg Jets, Pittsburgh Penguins, Vancouver Canucks, and Boston Bruins and Detroit Red Wings. And of course, we're starting at the top here, Rangers and Seattle. So we have a big time matchup here, the Rangers taking on the Seattle Kraken. The winner's going to make it to the Final Four. Of course, the big time players are showing up for the Rangers early on. But you know who else has some big time players? The Seattle Kraken. And we all know who that player is. It's Jordan Eberle outside of Andre Burakovsky. They're not just a one-man team. They also have St. Louis legend Jaden Schwartz. I mean, they got a lot of great talent there. But the Rangers, they're just a bit better right now. Up until game 3, they were better, but Seattle's finally woken up. So here we go. Game number 4 is going to be a big one. Seattle's looking to even this series up, but that's not going to be happening. The Rangers are taking a commanding 3-1 series lead. I guess when it does come to my top 3, it's Dallas number 1, Carolina number 2. I will throw the Rangers number 3 there. I don't really know with the Rangers though. For some reason, I just kind of don't believe in it. They have all the pieces there, but for some reason, I just don't believe in it. I don't know why. For some reason, there's always one really good team in the NHL that no matter what, I don't believe in it. I guess you could throw the Toronto Maple Leafs in that category because they're always a top team during the regular season. When the postseason comes around though, I don't believe in it. Same with the Edmonton Oilers. Unless Connor McDavid and Draisaitl are picking up 3 points a game, they are not winning any playoff games. The fact that they have to rely on those two guys so much is honestly beyond ridiculous. Another team I don't believe in, the Winnipeg Jets, but hey, so far they've been looking pretty good this season. The best 5-on-5 team, they have the best goaltending in the league right now. Although it's hard to bet against them, for some reason I'm doing it. Now I'm not necessarily against the Winnipeg Jets here, but I do want to see the Philadelphia Flyers go on some ridiculous run. I just think it would be funny. Like imagine if I put every single team in the playoffs and then the team to win it all is the Philadelphia Flyers. That would just be funny. A shout out to Gabe Vilardi, he's picking up a hat trick here. Sean Monahan, you're getting 1 goal as well. But you know what? The Winnipeg Jets can't be stopped right now, so there's nothing I can really do about it. Another victory here. This one's going to be 4-1. So if the Winnipeg Jets win this, that means they have a 12-2 record entering the Final Four. There's no question about it. The Winnipeg Jets are currently the best team in this simulation. Like, that's another sweep for the Winnipeg Jets. So that's back-to-back sweeps from them. I don't recall what happened against the Columbus series. All I know is they've won at minimum 9 games in a row here, potentially 10. So we have a great matchup in the upper half. It's going to be the Rangers taking on the Winnipeg Jets, but we got to figure out what's happening down here. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins and Vancouver Canucks up next. So the Penguins are the highest seeded team left at 19. I mean, the Detroit Red Wings aren't too far off. They're the 18th seeded team. But Pittsburgh, that offense is going to keep on flying, and Sidney Crosby, he's going to keep on doing his thing. Although Pittsburgh's offense has been absolutely incredible so far, Vancouver's finally going to have an answer for it. They're taking this one 4-3. Up until game number 3 here, Sidney Crosby's been absolutely unstoppable, but Thatcher Demko's finally going to find a way to stop him. And we're about to find out if that shot from Thatcher Demko is going to be switching the momentum here. It looks like it will be. Another shot from the Vancouver Canucks, and they're 1 game away from the Final Four. Through the first 2 games of this series, Sidney Crosby had 6 points, and he's erupting here. I know for a fact Crosby's picking up a couple in this one, so the Penguins are going to be staying alive. Just when I thought you could count out the Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby, they're going to be shutting me up, and they're going to be responding. This is a big game right here. We're going to need overtime, but unfortunately, the Pittsburgh Penguins run is going to be dying here. Stick on the ice legend Pakolson's going to be picking up the OT winner. So Pittsburgh, you put up a great fight, and Sidney Crosby, you looked absolutely fantastic, but it wasn't enough. Vancouver's taking you down, and now we got our final matchup, the Elite 8, the Boston Bruins and Detroit Red Wings. So right now, no team outside the top 10 has been able to make it to the Final Four. Detroit's looking to be the difference there. It doesn't look like it's going to be happening in game number 1, though. The Red Wings want to keep on playing spoiler, and honestly, I don't blame them. They've been looking pretty solid so far, and they're going to keep on looking good. They're going to have a 5-goal game here, and they're evening up this series. So after evening up that series, is Detroit building on the momentum? It doesn't look like it because Brad Marchand, he's always showing up when it matters most. So let's see what keeps on happening here. With the way Boston's rolling, I don't think they're going to be able to be stopped. Brad Marchand's just on a different level right now. So Boston has a 3-1 series lead right now. Max Domi's picking up penalties. I don't know who he's punching on the ice, but bro's wilding right now. Pat Maroon, the hero. Always can rely on Pat Maroon. He scores big time goals, and he's allowing Boston to advance to the Final Four. And like usual, we got to start with the upper half of the bracket. It's going to be the Rangers and Winnipeg Jets. So we seeded teams 1 through 32, and we're down to our Final Four teams, and we only have elite teams left. The Winnipeg Jets and New York Rangers, you already know this is going to be a great series, and the way that Connor Hellebuyck's playing, I don't know if anyone's stopping Winnipeg. They're starting this series off with a shutout. Like, Winnipeg might be on the biggest hot streak of all time right now. They've completed back-to-back sweeps, but unfortunately it's going to be a massive collapse in the third period here, and they're finally going to be losing a game. But what's one loss for the Winnipeg Jets when they seem to win every other game, and they're going to be winning another one here in game number 3? So the Winnipeg Jets are just 2 games away from the final, and this team has actually just been absolutely spectacular so far. However, in game number 4, it looks like the Rangers offense is going to wake up once again. The Rangers got to stop giving Winnipeg these leads though. They can't be making these comebacks all the time. Game 5 is going to be an important one. It's going to be a high scoring one, but the Rangers offense, they're making another comeback, 3 unanswered to finish this game out. So you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it for the New York Rangers. If they can keep on making comebacks, then you can keep on trailing in the game. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period here, and are the Rangers going to be closing it out? Yes, they will, and they're off to the final, taking the Winnipeg Jets down. So with that 6-game series, the Rangers have advanced to the final. Now we just have to figure out who they're going to be taking it on. Are they taking on the Boston Bruins, or are they taking on the Vancouver Canucks? Now, the last time these two teams matched up in the postseason didn't really go too well for Vancouver, and didn't go too well for the city of Vancouver. I mean, yeah, they had a lot of damages, and they're hoping to get back for that, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening in game number 1. Boston's taking it 4-2. But you know what? The Vancouver Canucks, they just had very passionate fans that did $1 million worth of damages, and they might be even topping that right now because, man, if they get swept to the Boston Bruins, it's not going to look good in Vancouver. Luckily, the Vancouver Canucks are going to wake up in game 3 here because the last thing they want is to go down 3-0 to the Boston Bruins. But going down 3-1 is not any better than going down 3-0, so you got to make sure you win this one, and they're going to even this series up with a big 5-1 win. Now, Vancouver's evened up the series, so that means game 5 is going to be a big one. Someone's going to be on the brink of making it to the final, and it looks like that's going to be the Boston Bruins with 3 unanswered. So Vancouver, you have a chance at revenge here. All you have to do is show up when it matters most. Boston has the lead right now, but you can still make the comeback, and that's exactly what you're doing. Pius Suter's picking up a late goal, and is it going to be enough? Well, it's going to be enough to spark this comeback because Quinn Hughes is going to pick up the OT winner. We got game 7. So it all comes down to this. Game 7, Vancouver Canucks and Boston Bruins. The winner is off to the final. The Canucks have it locked down. They're not blowing a 6-0 lead. They're taking this one 6-1, and they're off to the final against the New York Rangers. So it all comes down to this. The final's been set. 2 of the best matching up. The Rangers taking on the Vancouver Canucks. One team's going to be coming out on top here, and the other's going to be a massive loser. So no pressure. So it's the final series of the video, and the winner's going to be taking home the Stanley Cup. The Vancouver Canucks and New York Rangers are going to be matching up, and in game number 1, it's going to be a close one. Dakota Joshua's going to try to spark a comeback, but it's not going to be enough. The Rangers are taking game 1. Hopefully this is a low-scoring series. I want to see some great defense out here. I don't want to see any blowouts, but the Rangers, they're going to be sparking a massive comeback. This team's been making big comebacks the entire video, and they're going to keep on doing that into the final. Now, although I want close games the entire way, I also don't want it to be a sweep for the Rangers. So Vancouver, it's time for you to take a game here. All right, the Rangers just might sweep the Vancouver Canucks. So here we go, heading into game number 4 here. The Rangers currently have a 3-0 lead in the series. Vancouver's keeping this competitive though, but we already know the Rangers can make a comeback, and they almost made this comeback, but Soucy's picking up a big goal to keep this for Vancouver. But Vancouver definitely has a tough hill to climb here. They were down 3-0 in the series, so one game's not going to be enough, and it doesn't look like they're going to be taking this one. The Rangers are going to be shutting them out when it matters most, and they're going to be taking home the Stanley Cup in a 5-game series. Now, I will say I'm very impressed with the New York Rangers here, because very rarely when I do videos like this, the number 1 seed actually wins. Like, the best team in the league, the President's Trophy winner, actually won. Now, if you made to the end of this video, what I want you to do is comment down below who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup, and what do you think the Stanley Cup matchup's going to be. Personally, I have the Dallas Stars winning, and I got the Dallas Stars taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, and Dallas will take it in 6 games.